with it.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Good afternoon and call to order the City of Coos Bay Parks Commission meeting. This is our work session for June 5th, 2025. We'll start with roll call. We'll start down at the end.
Carmen Matthews, City of Coos Bay Parks Commission and City Council.
Arv Shabotik, Parks Council Commission.
Jared Schmidt, Parks Commission.
Bill Davis, Parks Commission and Planning Commissioner.
Aaron Lyons, Parks Commission.
Jamie Fairley, Parks.
Kurt Penrod.
Greg Hamblin.
Christina Texera.
And the City of Coos Bay. And online.
I'm wondering if they're not getting our audio feed.
They texted and said they
They
had,
did?
yeah.
Oh,
So I'm with Patty Scott, Parks Commission, and Christine City. All right, we're moving down to public comment. Is there any public comment that is not related to an agenda item? Great.
So I wanted that tentatively awarded the $10,000 preserving grant that was so we're number 4 on the list. So it still has to be approved by the State Historic Preservation, but this just happened just 2 years ago. So it was very interesting. So I said, it seemed like had some. Oh, I started reading it. This was really cool. So they were very much excited by what they saw in that. So still, and what I would like to do is we still need some match money because we get the historic cemetery grant and we've gotten good supporters that give us things. But I'd like to kind of maybe in the Friday update or something, do a or just give 4, which is targeted at alumni to do a crowdfunding thing. Like if you went to school for 4 years, give us $4. So we can help with that match money and help get people engaged. There are still people that had the cemetery was open. So Memorial Day that would spruce it up, and if it was beautiful weather, where people said, "We could get to the cemetery." So
Great.
So it was good. So
Awesome.
I'm getting there.
Thank you so much.
Cricket, what percentage match do you have to have?
I can tell you, the bookkeeper, my grant writer, my daughter, she keeps all those figures. So a $4,000 grant that was going to be all we needed for the match, and we've had some generous donors that have given things. So we got $1,200. So we'd like to get that much, but we'd also like to leave a cushion so that we're not at 0. So we need probably 3,000 or so.
So is there a percentage that you have to have?
So it has to be a match, but it's a 1-to-1 match for the 10,000, but it can be kind
Okay.
as well. So I don't, so we could do it. I don't know what that number is exactly, because that's not my job. So, but what we're looking for originally was that $4,000. So I think that's a very doable thing. There's 7 going, we're going to target them. One's actually wanting the project in there. Just because the shaper fixed up, somewhere down the road, shop or do some things so that we have a little cushion beyond there. So that's our plan.
Thank you.
Congratulations. This is exciting. All right. Any other public comment not related to an item today?
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
If the agenda item is only the tennis court by the skateboard park. I would like to speak about the tennis court at Upper Mingus.
We'll combine it all into one topic. We'll make it. Yeah, it's only $14.99. No, it's the city can solicit donations. Okay, so we are to our first work session item 4A, skate park feedback discussion. Greg?
Yeah, this topic is regarding the skateboard park expansion and the closure of the tennis court next to the skateboard park. So at the on March 12th, 2025, there was a vandalism that took place around the 12th. Could have been the early morning hours of the 13th. That the fence was removed and the tennis net was removed. One of the skateboard community members came in and presented, spoke to council. Council referred him to the Parks Commission. The Parks Commission requested that staff look into the possibility of just removing the fence in between and expanding the skateboard park. The commission asked that we send letters out to the surrounding area, which we did. We sent, I can't remember how many letters, several hundred letters were sent out to the surrounding area, 500-foot radius of the skateboard park. The city did receive 2 comments, one in favor of and one not in support. But that was the 2 comments that we received. I did get some comments from the public about converting one of the tennis courts on the Upper Mingus. Maybe that's what is being discussed later on about converting one of the tennis courts up top into a pickleball court. But like I said, we didn't get any. We got negating comments for the tennis court or the skateboard expansion. Staff understands that the skateboard folks are interested in volunteering their time, materials and energy to remove the remaining fence posts, the net stanchions. And so the cost to the city would be minimal, just probably hauling off debris and maybe help support whatever those minimal costs would be to further the removal of those fence posts.
Thank you so much. Do we have commissioner questions or comments regarding the feedback received?
Did one of those comments for keeping at least one tennis court open in Coos Bay come from somebody in East Side? I mentioned last time.
I don't remember the location, which
Okay.
one of the requests came from, but I did receive the 2 responses I did receive were both in response to the letters. And the folks from East Side were not included in the letters. But
She may not live in East Side, but she works in East Side. That's yeah. So anyway, I got a comment that this is, I see the need for the skate park use and tennis courts. He says, we should at least have one. That was the comment that came to me.
and we do still have 2 tennis courts, but the upper tennis courts up at the far side of Mingus.
And we still have the tennis courts
Right.
on the east side.
They still have the tennis courts on East Side.
And tennis is not as popular as it was prior. It is now being replaced with the pickleball, which is much more popular.
Mhm.
So possibly. Other commissioner comments or questions?
I got a couple. Don't do that to me.
Sorry.
So just,
Please trying not to do that.
yeah, I know, yeah, right. So just out of curiosity, do you remember what the person that was against it being there, what their objection was?
Their objections were, loud music, possibility of, higher drug use or people bringing in drugs into the area. And, just general comments of just, I don't know if they were had a negative connotation with skateboarders.
Okay, all right. Part of me is, I get the whole thing about tennis not being so popular. And when we started this conversation, I thought about pickleball even there, and then we started talking about cost. And I think Harv had mentioned how much it costs down in Bandon. And so the pickleball down there kind of went by the wayside. So I guess I'm kind of resigned to no longer having a tennis court down there and having a part of the skateboard park. But I have to be honest with you, part of me is that it's almost and again, I hope my skateboard friends don't take this the wrong way, but it's kind of rewarding bad behavior, because I'm quite sure the tennis people didn't go there and tear down the fence and roll it up. So, that bugs me a little bit. So, but I do have some questions about if we go forward with this. I know we've had some people volunteer to remove the posts that are there. I'm hoping in that plan, there's some way when those posts are removed to make sure wherever they were, the hole or whatever is there is no longer a problem. You know, because I'm sure that, you know, when people use the skateboard park and they dump into the bowl, they fall, they know that that's their fault and the city has no liability. However, if the city doesn't adequately remove those things so that they're safe to roll over, the city would be liable then, I think, because we hadn't, and the same holds true for the stanchions on the tennis court. So I hope it's not just cutting them off, but there's a process for making sure that when that skateboarder rolls across there, the wheel's not going to fall into a hole and they're going to go hassle or tea kettle. And then I'm curious as to what we're doing with the rest of the fencing around that area, because I think right now part of it's lockable, so it can get locked up. I mean, I know the skateboard park does and stuff. So are we going to just take out the posts that separate the current skateboard park from the tennis park? Or do we have any plans for the rest of the fencing around the tennis courts?
So, to answer your question is yes, prior to opening the skateboard park back up, to everybody, the fence posts will be removed and any remnants of the posts will be removed as well. That would include filling in the holes and the next stanchions as well. Whatever is left there will be removed. So it'll be a smooth rolling surface for the wheels so that they don't fall over, whatever you said.
Yeah.
And the second part of that question was the fencing. So there, we do have to make a repair to the east side of the fence. We did have some rot associated when that fence was removed. There was some other damage to the perimeter fencing that will have to be addressed. But as far as the rest of the perimeter fencing, the tennis court is lockable and is currently locked. So that would remain locked. That entrance may be open during the daytime when the skateboard park is open, and then it would be locked at the end of when the skateboard park is closed. So it would have then two entrances into the area, but it is fenced. The perimeter of the skateboard park is fenced, just like the tennis court is fenced. And all we would be doing is removing the interior divider fence between the two facilities now. So the perimeter would be secured when it is closed, and it would be open when it's opened.
Thank you. Yeah, and I know that the skateboard people, at one point in time, they're just because of wear and tear, part of the edge of one of the bowls and some other things need to be repaired. And at that time period, I believe the skate park was actually closed and locked up. And I don't anticipate any for future damage to it, but I do think it's a good idea to be able to close the area in case something like that happens again.
Absolutely.
Any commission comments or questions regarding feedback from community? No, all right. So I believe our next steps, because we hearing no large backlash from the city, is based on our past movement direction forward. We just move forward with the repairs.
So staff is requesting the commission reach a consensus as to whether to approve or not approve the expansion of the skateboard park.
Okay.
I move
We're not doing a motion.
Oh, we're not doing a motion.
Consensus.
A consensus.
Okay,
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
I am in favor of expanding the skate park.
Also in favor.
Mhm. Okay, great, wonderful. We have a consensus that we are in favor of moving forward with the skate park expansion.
Do we need to have public comment on that?
I'm gonna roll into, it's not a vote, so it's a consensus, but yes.
But we don't, I mean, we could have public comment and maybe change our positions. You never know. So
Well, and
I guess I felt like we were jumping the gun.
okay, we can comment on that, not related to the other potential pickleball court. Tristan, do you want to add anything?
Sorry, I'm a little sore.
Mhm.
Been working a lot. The perimeter fence, I was planning on making repairs to that while I was done. I stopped by there and seen what damage there is to it. It's pretty minimal. There's a top railing on that section of fence that hasn't been there since the park's been open. I'm gonna try to replace that, repair that section as well. As far as leaving it unsafe, that's the whole point of going and making repairs, to make sure that it's not So I'll do anything that I can to smooth that surface, whatever's necessary. And other than that, thank you guys.
Thank you.
I was also thinking if there's a spot where you just couldn't fix it, maybe put one of those. I've seen that they've been pulling in various implements, maybe curbs and like tire chocks and stuff. You can put something like that over something like that and cover up a problem area if it wasn't.
If there's money and approval and support, I'm going to go build whatever down there.
Okay.
So
So just to kind of Greg and staff, so that's locked right now. Do we need somehow to make sure he has access to get in there and do that?
Well, he'll work with Greg.
We'll coordinate with Tristan. We have his contact information. Tristan, again, thank you for all of the hard work that you've done over there over the course of the past several years. And we sure are glad that you're back in a capacity that you can be back at it, and look forward to seeing what we can do together and see that thing get taken care of.
And with the ultimate goal that it is open for National Skate Day, which is in 2.5 weeks.
Absolutely.
is there anything that I need to do? Like, do I need to approach the council? Should I be at the next council meeting?
You just get with Greg and get access and you're good to go.
I'll look forward to it.
Sounds good.
All right, in addition to that, we are discussing tennis courts and skate parks. We will take public comment on the generality of tennis / pickle, which is down here. So Susie or Mary or both, if you want to. Mary.
I'm Mary Bezesiak. Susan both played tennis. And pickleball, but tennis is number one. I see that you've gone forward with tennis court by the skateboard park, and I've never played on a tennis court anyway. We play at Upper Mingus, and as I'm sure you probably all know, there are 2 courts up there, and they're not side by side. They're and one that is the northern end, there must be some kind of, I'm sure Greg knows, some kind of spring up there that floods over the tennis court, slimy water, that makes it dangerous to play on that northern court. So we always play on the southern court. And because it's slip and fall. And so Susie got there, we were playing yesterday, I hadn't played for a while, and we were going to play yesterday. Susie got there a little bit yesterday to blow off the tennis court, the needles, to discover there's no net. And we're going, yeah, and the posts that hold the net, everything's gone. It's not like the one down at by the skateboard park where the net's just over there. It's not there. Posts, and we immediately thought, so the city is taking over their tennis court and converting it into a pickleball court, and we just don't want that to happen. Greg, do you know?
I found out yesterday morning that the net had been stolen. It had been removed by somebody. Like us.
It was a quarter by skateboard park. You can tell that was vandalized. Somebody doing, they took everything without damaging
So
anything.
that net is supported, the net stanchions that are in there are a sleeve. So the pipe goes down into a sleeve. There's a sleeve in the concrete. And so somebody pulled out the sleeves and walked off with the sleeve, with the supports and the net. Don't know when that took place, but we found out about it yesterday morning.
Has anybody applied for a building permit to build
a tennis court? That was the first place I went to look for that. But unfortunately, somebody did use the word vandalize, because I think when somebody takes something that doesn't belong to them, maybe look at it as theft or vandalism. So I look at it, I would say the court was vandalized. And like I said, I just found out about it yesterday. Staff is looking into when we're gonna be able to make that repair. what that looks like, I don't know. I just talked with my superintendent today to find out what progress is made, and he's in the process of trying to figure that out. I don't have any updates to it, but that's the best information I have right now, is that at some time over the course of the last 2 days, somebody has taken the net and walked away with it.
So can I ask a question? It's the court that you normally play on, right?
It's-
So the other court you don't play on because of the spring and it gets slimy. So does that one have the stanchions in the net?
That's what I was thinking. Real closely, but it's probably, hopefully, exactly the same
So I
thing.
was wondering if it
Yeah.
is an interim basis, it could maybe be moved to the court you guys play on them.
I was thinking that too. So thinking, if, I don't know how much input you guys have gotten on pickleball courts up there, but maybe.
Give them the slimy ones.
Well, yeah, half of the slimy one.
Mhm.
You know, the southern half of the slimy one doesn't get wet.
Yeah,
It's just the northern half. You know, it wouldn't have to affect one pickleball court.
yeah.
So if we moved if you moved the tennis net and stanchions from the northern one to the southern one, if they do fit, and then create a pickleball court on half of that other court.
Yeah.
Win-win for everybody. And this court.
We discussed it before. A few people have come in and said that they're interested in having pickleball. Of course, budgetary concerns is resurfacing, as Harv noted when they did the ones in Bandon. It's quite expensive to resurface and remark for the pickleball. So my understanding is at this time, we hadn't planned on doing that. But your feedback is appreciated for if we do move forward
Okay.
towards that. But our plan is, my understanding is for it to remain tennis, and unfortunately now we got to figure out a net situation.
Yeah. Well, if you can own a tennis court, playable for tennis, it would be fantastic. Right, Susie?
I mean, I'm sorry. Pickleball is very popular.
If you could.
Oh, I have a voice.
It's for the online, yeah.
And who plays tennis here? Who plays pickleball? So, you know, at least this sample isn't very indicative of how pickleball is, but when we started playing pickleball, we shared the courts.
Mhm.
And yes, it was a little more intensive. You had to have a lockbox to keep the nets. You had to stripe the courts, but everybody was happy. And now suddenly, tennis courts are like disappearing, and getting to play tennis very well. I mean, SWAC, I know it has nothing to do with it, but they took 2 of our courts and made 6 grand. They get 6 courts out of, I don't know, 4 courts? 6 out of 2 courts they took from us. Feel strongly about this. And then the one that's going to the skateboard, which is fine because I never had the key to get in there anyway. And then the Boys and Girls Club, don't get me going there, but they share. We share the tennis courts at the Boys and Girls Club. They just have terrible hours. But I mean, tennis is fun. Some of us think it's more challenging. I think pickleball is fun, but it's challenging. And I do think what the gentleman, I don't know, the gentleman that was said that they were thinking of putting a ditch to divert that water from the court. Is that a fiction or is it a possibility?
That's
a
something I
great
would
question.
Stress. I was like, well, it sounds like we got an easy low hanging fruit here where we get some drainage, work done. I mean, it seems like a quick, easy fix. It's both of us, please. I'll come out and help you dig a ditch to get that. I mean, to get that second court playable, for me, what I see is, we have 3 tennis assets that we're looking at. We're taking away one, at least improve the one that's not being playable so that there's not a real loss to the tennis community. That would be the easiest and cheapest thing that I think we could do, and that seems fairly straightforward. I'd be willing to volunteer my time.
Yeah.
And speaking of volunteers, Coos Bay Parks now has an Adopt a Park program. If you,
Joined.
very good, thank you. So maybe a group of tennis and pickleballers could join the fun of raising funds, replacing net stanchions and putting lock systems on them perhaps. Maybe there's the one that's still there should have a lock put on it somehow.
Okay.
As far as the drainage goes, it's not a myth. I mean, it's just trying to, and I appreciate Carmen and Jamie's volunteering to help. It's just trying to make sure we have the time, the resources to get up there to do that. And then, we can definitely address that. I'll have my staff look into seeing whether, and I think that they've already looked into it, whether that net can be transferred from the north court to the south court. And I'll just verify that they investigated that. I'm sure they did, but I'll just ask the question. But we could definitely look into that as well. But it's just the drainage up there. You're absolutely right. It's terrible, but Mother Nature is Mother Nature. And so sometimes trying to fight these things is pretty tough, but we'll try to find a way to champion that and take care of that.
Once upon a time, and I can't remember how long ago it was, 15 years ago, I had.
Use the microphone, sorry, just for the online people and for the record.
I can't remember exactly how long ago it was, about 15 years ago. I was given a key to the Upper Mingus tennis courts because they were locked. And so I couldn't, so when they stopped being locked, but they used to be locked.
You have a couple of nights ago.
She's like, they're taking away my tennis court and putting it in my backyard.
Check her backyard.
Google everything, everybody's. All right, so I think we'll do some looking into and.
Absolutely.
And as of now, we have no movement forward, but I think the next Adopt a Park project could be that upper region because it does need some love and we could take a look at that.
Absolutely.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, item 4B, alternative funding sources discussion. Carmen, you want to kick that off or?
Do you want me to kick it off? No,
Yeah.
I'm looking for ideas. I don't know if I'm gonna spearhead anything, but I mean, I guess I could just say. I mean, we're just struggling to get a lot of things done without grant funding.
Mhm.
And here we are like, oh, we gotta find resources to put towards a ditch. Like that's, I don't know, it just feels like we should have more capacity and we need that, we need those funding sources and I am still open to whatever that looks like. I realize that this community struggles financially in terms of our, percentage of our community is in the poverty level. So doing things that are, across the board are harder. So maybe there's a way for us to target funding sources that are more focused on the growth that we're experiencing. This is a broader discussion, but we have taken away what are those fees that you do, development fees?
System development.
SDCs. The city council we haven't really pushed that subject yet, but if that was something that one of the commissions was like, hey, can we do this? Maybe that would push that conversation. The city of Coos Bay does not have system development charges. For those of you who don't know what those are, usually when you get a building permit, you would have a system development charge. And it would go to some fund of some sort. And I know that there are other communities in Oregon that do SDCs for their parks.
I'll say a good majority of
Yeah.
them too.
Yeah, and that's the way you get nice parks.
Mhm.
And I know that we'll have some feedback from community members who maybe are within the building, trades that might not appreciate that. But if it's across the board, everybody shares in that responsibility. It doesn't really affect one business in particular. For me, I think SDCs have a place. I realize we're trying to, attract housing and such, but I don't know if I want to attract housing at the detriment of our ability to provide services for the people who already live here. And so one thing that I'd like to talk about is maybe SDCs. You know, what does that look like? Is this something that this Parks Commission would be willing to push towards as a the city council as a recommendation? You know, there's all different types. We've talked about a foundation. I know I was tasked with that. I will take full responsibility for not really getting much movement on that. There's the Adopt a Park project, which is the program, which is where, community members can kind of take a little bit more volunteer control over specific focused areas. I think that's wonderful. But we need to be able to find ways that this commission can utilize funding and resources. And right now I just feel like we do a lot of master planning to have master plans. When we update master plans and then we're like, yeah, that looks great. And hopefully something magical comes along. So that's where I'm at. Figure we'll start from there.
Commissioner comments?
Coming from a community that has SCDC or it has DDCs, I do think that's a reasonable approach to take. I understand the development community will scream bloody murder. So you can expect some bounce back in that regard, but from other communities, it is a way to go, not just with parks, but the whole concept of when a new development comes in, it shouldn't be the taxpayers of the community who've already contributed to pay that. So I am supportive of that foundation too. No question. I know I've seen it certainly down in Bandon when they created their friends group. They wound up going with a 501c3. And it was amazing the amount of dollars, not only from foundations that they got, but from the community. People actually donated, and they're more apt to donate, quite honestly, to that than they are to a government or to a property tax. Because, they know exactly where the dollars are going.
Exactly.
So I think either one of those two continue to be high priorities. And I know for sure that if you really want the community to contribute, the foundation approach is definitely a way to go.
Jennifer, when there was a streets committee not too long ago that I served on, that SDCs were considered. Do you recall that? And maybe give us a characterization. I don't think it was one of the several things that were on the board for funding streets because we were losing funds from gas tax, et cetera.
Yeah, was that the League of Oregon Cities? The League of Oregon Cities Committee?
Probably, yeah. It's been 10 years or so since
So, I never know how much trouble I'm going to get to when I come up here. So the city has had a moratorium on SDC since 2008. But, back power, SDCs, to a training at the end of July, because since we never had them here, since I've been here, I think we need to get educated. So I can't speak to SDCs right now. Give me a couple months.
I think it's something that every committee that I've been on at the city in one way or another has asked to bring back SCDCs. Because for our roads, our sewer, or all of our parts and pieces and things that we are required to and want to provide as services, we need additional funding. Everything's only going to continue to get more expensive.
Storms, so parks.
Yeah, and so the number one thing people complain about, those are the things that people complain about and the condition that they are.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep, I would agree. I am sorry, I haven't gotten much work done on the foundation end of things. I do want to see if we can pull something together, Friends of Coos Bay Parks. The other thing that's been brought up several times, to me at least, is a parks district
Mhm.
that would include the city of North Bend. So it's a larger district that is not, that is more inclusive and operates, I guess, in conjunction with the municipalities. So kind of like the water board. Water board has its own budget. It has, it has intergovernmental agreements with the city of Coos Bay and city of North Bend. I've seen that work in many other communities as well. I know there's been discussion to combine fire districts, police districts, parks districts. All of these kinds of things seem to make a bit of sense for me as well. I believe that would mean it would be its own separate taxing district. I'm not positive, but I believe so. Just like we have an airport district, we have a, water district, school district. So I don't know how that would work in terms of our maximum indebtedness, because we have a ceiling on how much we can charge through taxes, and I believe we're already there as we are.
Already there for some reason. And who sets the ceiling? Like, I don't know how that.
I think it's state mandated, if I believe.
What's our ceiling? Why is our taxes so much lower than everywhere else in the state? Why are we the second lowest?
It really makes it difficult to do much, and that's why we have to get, creative with these funds, whether it's the transportation lodging tax, where we have, or the transportation user fee. There's these different funding vehicles to where we can get specific dollars for specific programs or, parts of our departments, I guess. And for me, like the SDCs for just the way we used to do them,
Mhm.
for these kind of integral workings of our community. It makes sense to me. I know it will be an increased cost. It will be a hurdle. Not having them doesn't seem to be spurring a massive jump in our housing development. So maybe having them, and at least even if they're at a low level, we would have something to work with. And right now, it's just having nothing just doesn't sit well with me. So this keeps on coming up, alternative funding sources discussion. I would like to see us make the recommendation to the city council to have the discussion
Mhm.
to bring back SDCs personally. I'm probably gonna get some blowback for this community wise, but it's just, if we want nice parks and we want the water to flow into the building and not flood our downtown, then we've got to do things like this. So that's where I'm at.
So can it be added to the agenda item for our next parks meeting, where we can take an action one way or the other? Okay. Additional commissioner comments? No? Okay. So I think, agreement that we need additional funding. I think we're all in agreement that.
No, we don't need any more money.
Yeah. Fine, we're fine. And the foundation, the Adopt a Park program is, those are the things that are gonna keep us chugging along until we find an overall solution. Cause, whether it's a taxing district or SCCs, those are gonna take years, probably, is my guess. But so in trying to do the foundation, and really looking at the Adopt a Park program, and I think maybe having a work session with parks and say, okay, where are some bite-sized pieces like those skating, the tennis courts up above? Where are some bite-sized pieces where we can, again, we have 3 successful completed Adopt a Park projects, or one that's in process. Where are a couple more where we can go out, where it has strong community backing? And let's have that discussion so we can then go after advocates for those areas.
Well, I see that's a way to invite more participation from the community, to where you have, as a community member, you have an access point to be able to make improvements that you wish to see that are very pinpointed. I also believe that it needs to be paired with that foundation piece, to where you make donations to a foundation. The foundation has a larger funding pot that they can then give to certain projects and use that as the matching funds for a larger grant application. So if we had a foundation and we were having donations going to the foundation, there would be general ones and there'd be ones that are kind of more earmarked into specific, portfolios or projects. But we might have had the ability to just go, the Parks Foundation, it wouldn't be us, it would be a different place, but we would be able to be like, we're gonna give you $4,000 for the matching grant for your 10,000. And that would be huge.
Mhm.
And that'd be something we could do right now. So we need to get done on that. I will say that I am at low capacity for being able to do this. So part of the reason why I didn't get it done is I am in low capacity. So if anybody is willing to help me with trying to figure out this foundation piece, I would be grateful.
I have gathered some information I can share with you.
Great.
So, and because I think that's it. I see the foundation as being kind of the umbrella for all these parts and pieces to operate underneath. I mean, like in my grand scheme of thing, I'd love to see the foundation being the Parks and Rec district, the one that helps has a volunteer coordinator so that the city's not tasked with dealing. I mean, they run all the legal documents and everything, but that somebody says, okay, here's this person that's doing this and this and this. So we're not relying so much on city personnel to do all these things.
That's
So I
huge.
see it as being that umbrella piece that can help do all these things, the stopgaps, because I doubt that we're like suddenly going to get 8 park employees.
Yes.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. I
Agreed.
think for us to get back to 8 people, it's not happening. So we need volunteers and we need potential, and there's even potential for that foundation to help hire out some of those parts and pieces through contracts with the city to get those things done. So
Absolutely.
that's the umbrella piece. I think some people, when they hear foundation, they think, oh, just a money source. And I see that more of a coordinated effort that works in conjunction with the city, work with the Parks Commission and with the volunteers.
I think that's a beautiful design concept. I love
Yeah.
that. And it pairs well with that Adopt a Park thing, because each individual Adopt a Park program has their focus, but all donations are still funneled through foundation, and then coordination of volunteerism goes through there. And I think, you're right. Sounds good.
And people do feel much more comfortable donating to a foundation or a friends group than to the city. Because even though the parks are city assets, there is that hesitation there. And so by having it run by volunteers and you have that one layer back, I think that we'll be more successful in reaching out for donations, and also much easier for in-kind donations from perhaps contractors and things like that, so that we can get those matches, they can write it off.
Yeah, because right now, if you donate to the city, it's not necessarily a tax deductible donation, is it? Is it?
It is.
It is? Oh,
Yeah.
well, okay. Well,
Yeah.
it's just easier to work with foundation.
Yes.
It is.
All right, well, I think we're solving the world's problems.
Yeah. One day at a time. We just need to be independently wealthy so we can just focus all of our time and energy on
Oh,
this.
man, all right.
Okay.
Get me to that point, please.
Additional commissioner comments or questions regarding alternative funding sources discussion?
I don't have any new ideas, but just to pick up on the foundation thing again too, and I know, to be really honest with you, it would be better if there was a group of 2 or 3 people outside of the Parks Commission that actually were the nucleus for forming the foundation. It's just probably a better way to go. And that's not to say that I would suggest that, maybe 2 Parks Commission folks get when the bylaws are written for that foundation, the Parks Commission always has 2 people on the foundation board so they can do liaison work. But normally, I don't think you want them to be the nucleus to get the foundation going. So I think the real challenge is finding 2 or 3 people in the community that are willing to dig in and start the ball rolling with the foundation. It won't require a lot of money, but it will require some money. for filing with the state. And there's a lot of other issues that are involved, just the technical issues of the foundation. So, filing for 501c3 status with IRS and filing with the state. Then there's you have to think about setting up accounts to receive funds. You have to think about whether or not you want any director's liability insurance. You have to think, do you want to rent a post office box to receive all the correspondence for the foundation? And when you send out an annual letter for appeals, that's where the return envelopes would be coming. There's a lot of little small details like that that you really kind of have to think through as well. I think, and at some point, I really do hope we get a foundation going, and I'm willing to help to some degree too. I can dig ditches too, by the way, guys. So I live right up there. So let me know.
I volunteered Jamie, so I might have to volunteer you too. Sorry, Jamie.
Okay. But anyway, so yeah, so it's a doable thing. And then at some point, I think in time, we would have to want to work out the interface between Adopt the Park and the foundation. So would it be worthwhile for both entities to be trying to get a grant for the Scout Cabin, for example? Or, maybe the Adopt a Park morphs more into the volunteer base to work in the parks, and the foundation becomes more the financial arm that tries to raise the money to do that sort of stuff. So people that live around a particular park and utilize it would be more than willing to be part of an Adopt a Park and work there. So, but those are all things that I think that can be worked out. But I really do think the first thing is 2 or 3 people that are very interested in supporting the parks outside of the commission, that are willing to come up with the bylaws, get the ball rolling and filing with IRS. And again, it's surprising, I always bring up the Library Foundation since I'm on the Library Foundation board, but we send out an annual appeal every year, just one letter. And I think this time we're just short of $10,000, and that's just sending out a letter and saying, not even a project, and so it's surprising. And the other thing we've talked about, the big thing is people leaving stuff in their wills. We've gotten some serious contributions to that foundation and that's much easier for an attorney to do and stuff if it's a 501c3 nonprofit. So.
And endowments is a great approach for us. As sitting on the Rotary Coos Foundation, we just received a large endowment, and that gives us the opportunity to go after and do some major projects. So.
And I see the Adopt a Park projects that have been mildly at least successful being impetus for foundation. The letters that go out say, well, this is what we've done. We're needing more. The volunteers are stretched and we need more funds to help influence more volunteers.
Cregan.
So Cricket Souls again, and Kurt has sort of led us through interesting things. And we've talked about this now a lot of times, and I think your idea of having it be a little bit separate. So how could we move forward with that? Have a meeting at the library, for instance, with inviting people to come and make sure Kurt is there, but people that may be willing to have served on other foundations within the community and can give some helpful hints, and maybe that lawyer that needs a little project, all the kinds of things. So I would really like it if we could start setting a date kind of to see what we get for support.
I think that's a great idea, and just being really cognizant that we can't have too many Parks Commissioners there, because it is not a Parks Commission meeting, and so being cognizant that it is a separate entity. So, but I think that is great. Carmen and Kurt, do you want to pick a day that works for you, and then we'll just advertise it all over our socials and Fridays and see who shows up?
Yeah, I was wondering if this is something that, like, the Parks Commission could request interested parties to address through like the city newsletter? Is that something like we're looking to? I don't know, this would be maybe a question for Nate, our city legal counsel.
They put everything in Friday Update.
Absolutely.
Variety of sources,
Yes.
so.
I don't know, I guess I'm just trying to figure out a way that the city can help facilitate an outside group.
Yeah, I think you and Coco, you should pick a
Yeah.
date that works on your schedule.
Yeah.
We'll pick that date, we'll advertise it and see who shows up.
I was just going to say that, I get the idea about advertising, but to tell you the truth, probably the starting should be some people are really interested in by word of mouth. Say, hey, let's get together and talk about this and see how the best way is to go forward. And yeah, I would suggest Cricket. I would suggest Coco. I don't know if there's somebody else out there that's very involved in the parks.
Bev.
Yeah, and get that group together, and yeah, I could show up and maybe Carmen could show up and we could kind of be there to do our input as well. But I actually think that's the better first step.
Okay.
Let's, 3 or 4 people talk and say, hey, you want to get together at the library and let's talk this through and see what we need to do and brainstorm it that way. We were fortunate and we had a local attorney actually do our bylaws for free when we first got started. But once you get the group and the concept and what you want to do, then you can start doing that. And when you do submit a lot of these papers, like the IRS and the state, you have to be established enough not only to list your contact person, your mailing address, your board of directors, because they need to know who your board of directors are and stuff too. When you start getting to that point, before you start filing those papers, then maybe that's a good time to do a larger community search to see who wants to be on the board and would want to move forward. So that would be my suggestion. But I'm more than willing to come. I don't think Parks Commission commissioners should be in positions of officers in the foundation. I think they should just be board members and let the other people go ahead and actually run that. And Carmen's absolutely right. The Library Foundation has just been kind of a general funding umbrella. We've got a project going with the library right now where we're thinking about donating $100,000 to do some renovations. So it's just and we don't have to put out requests for proposal and get bids because we're not a government agency. That makes it very easy. So
I see several people in the audience right now who utilize Coos Bay Parks that maybe could be officers within our desired new foundation.
Okay.
We just need to bulldog them into helping us build one now.
Well, I do appreciate this is the discussion. I think it's important. I think we are moving the ball forward, albeit slowly, but we're getting there. And I think that it's nice to hear kind of a consensus amongst the Parks Commission that we do need to do something. So
who's going to set up the foundation meeting?
I'm
Sounds
just
like-
gonna send a group
like-
email and then remove myself from the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. It's right here encircled. She's in the car. She's awake. Yeah. Okay. Any staff commissioner closing comments or additional comments?
Thank you to Tristan for your patience. It's been 3 months, so that's a very long time. So just thank you for your patience. You've been here pretty much at every meeting. Very admirable.
Thank you.
I know that's what it takes.
Yeah, well, you have a lot of empathy for how slow things can move. So I echo Patrick's sentiment that you've been very patient and extremely helpful to the community. So thank you.
Couple of quick things. I know Tom was here, I think at our last meeting, talking about all the work that needs to be done. There actually is the beautification committee's next project is coming up on the 14th. They are going to be downtown as well as on the water front doing their cleanup. So that's the 14th. It's a Saturday. Also, we're beginning to take applications for the Fourth in the Park. We will be doing that as well. Quite honestly, we don't get a lot of interest. Part of that, I know last year, I think we had like 7 folks who stepped forward with their organizations. Part of it is getting volunteers on the 4th of July is very hard to do. So we don't get a lot of organization participation, but we will have the firecracker run. I know well, we've got a cabin that I think will be shown off. So we will have some activity there. The Boys and Girl Scouts will be doing their community feed kind of thing. We will have the fire department, I think, will be back with their fish tank. So Fourth in the Park is not that far away. But if there's any groups at all that are interested in participating, contact the Coos Bay Downtown Association. We'll get you lined up.
All right, thank you.
So say as somebody who grew up wanting and dreaming to be a skateboarder, but lived in a town where most of the streets were P-rock, and my grinding rail was an old gym or playground equipment that my dad made. I'm very envious to see a community that values a skate park like it does. Teenage me is very jealous. So I'm just really happy to be part of this team that puts value on that and supports those kind of endeavors. Because like I said, younger me would have been thrilled, but probably very hurt, but very thrilled.
Yeah.
You're good, Bill? Jamie?
Another successful Mayfly festivals a few weeks ago. Thank you for joining me. Yep, Patrick. And I will be missing the next regular meeting. I'll be on a river in Utah.
They have cell service?
Hey, can you zoom in from?
Yeah.
Oh,
We want to see the whitewater.
Yeah.
bummer. I was just going to say that the repaving project up on Central Street is done. If you all remember, that's something that we got involved with trying to extend a bike lane a little bit farther off Ocean Boulevard. And I know Carmen was very supportive of that too. And it looks really nice. And it's, almost, we're getting closer to tying the east side of Coos Bay, the west side of Coos Bay with downtown Coos Bay, which I still hope one of these days we're able to do with a little section of Ocean Boulevard that everybody gets in the left lane anyways, because they know the right lane's closing before you get to Leclerc. So that's it. And I make one other comment, and I don't, and this isn't meant to be critical, but I know that the city reviewed and approved some repaving projects for fall. And when I first got on this committee, and we were tasked with bikes, but I would remind us also pedestrians. So that includes sidewalks and all the sort of stuff and crosswalks that's involved. One of my concerns was, well, how are we going to know when the city's ever doing any paving or road work? And I looked at the things that they're doing. They're doing a couple on East Side and Empire, and they're doing part of North Fork from Market, where we had thought about putting in the bike thing. And it's probably de minimis. There probably isn't anything that we need to do. But again, it just brought up the issue of, since we're involved in bikes and bike lanes and pedestrian traffic, that whenever the city's involved in doing some road work, it would be nice, even if it's just a courtesy, to let us know. Because the project that happened on Central was originally eliminating that bike lane. But because this group looked at it, they thought, well, gosh, maybe there's a way we can work around it. So I'm just putting that out there. That's all. Okay.
And a lot of that paint that they put down looked real nice for about 2 days, and now a lot of them just not there. Right there close to 11th Street. Somebody is just running across it and tire marks. And it doesn't look good at all. Yeah.
Patty, any closing comments?
Nope.
Sorry, I can't, I'm having problems with my unmuting myself. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
we can.
Yeah, I just want to say that first phase of our trail project out on campus is complete. So we put in a little bridge that's on our property, and now there's a really great pathway off of parking lot 2 that goes all the way to the park. It's wide, it's really nice, and then there's a whole bunch of new trails, and then we have a plan of how we're gonna work to clean up the old camps that are there on our property, and hopefully a plan to try to keep those from coming back in the future. And then we're working actively on fundraising for phase 2. That will be up on the south side of campus.
Very cool.
Some great projects, because we know more use gets done. Cricket,
The KCBY article.
no.
So KCBY had a nice article that's now saved on their website on the cabin, the community building that reached official National Register status. So we might want to look up that and maybe even tie that into a little Friday update thing.
Yeah, I think it's gonna.
It did go on the Friday.
It did go on Friday update, and I think it went out in this separate email
Nice
that I received as well.
Yeah, so that's nice.
It's perfect, because I was going to remind everyone that on June 28th, from 11 to 3, come and check out the Memphis Park Community Building, aka Scout Cabin. So come and check it out. There are lots of things have been done, but of course there are lots of things that need to be done as well. But check it out. A lot of people have not been in the cabin in a very, very long time. So check it out. See, if you want to open your checkbooks, that's totally cool too. But there's lots of projects have been completed, and of course, there's long ways to go as well.
All right, so I just want to give you some project updates. Next week, the East Side Boat Ramp sealing and striping will commence. That dollars are going to be forwarded to us via grant through Oregon State Marine Board that Christina worked on and was successful in getting for us. So that will be taking next week. Then we also applied for another grant with Oregon State Marine Board to replace one of the pumps out at East Side in the wet well out there. It's a grinder pump so that we can process the fish cleaning station. So we were successful in getting that. So a pump is on order, and it should be delivered by the close to the end of this month and installed. And so we were very grateful for Oregon State Marine Board for granting us those dollars, and Christina worked hard on both of those grants, and we were successful in those. The Mingus Park Community Hall building is the stabilization project is just about complete. Matter of fact, the stabilization side of things is done. They were able to, the original plans were to install a total of 17 piles. Unfortunately, they were only able to install 11 piles. As they rounded the corner on the northeast corner of the structure, the foundation changed from a concrete foundation to simply a rock foundation. So they were not able to stabilize that northeast section, but that was the least problematic section of the building. More to follow on that. We'd like to figure out what can we do in the future to stabilize that section of the building. However, the southwest corner, the worst of the worst, was stabilized, and we shouldn't see any future movement with that building. So we feel confident that we've addressed the biggest deficiencies. And so we'll be reaching out hopefully with the funds that are returned to us from the contractor for not doing the other 6. Maybe reach out to another structural engineer to kind of evaluate that and see what our options are to move forward. Because we don't want to, once again, continue on our path without understanding exactly what's happening with that structure. Yeah, it was a surprise to us. The plans showed it was a concrete footing all the way around, but sometime in the past it's changed from concrete to rock. So those were just kind of some of the things that we're working on. Kurt, to answer your question in regards to the 4th Street and just our upcoming road projects, that was strictly an oversight. It was not a slide at all. It was just a blip on the understanding of my process. And so I apologize about that. So that portion of the project is just going to be a resurfacing of the pavement along there. We're not proposing any other pedestrian improvements, not doing any sidewalks, no curbing gutters. We're not touching any of the ADA ramps, no curbs or no sidewalks, no crosswalks or anything like that. But that was definitely an oversight on my part. I apologize about that. We'll make sure that you guys will see the next set of projects that we would like to do. Matter of fact, I have those developed and I'll present those to you at the 19th meeting. So with that being said, I really do appreciate everybody's time today. Once again, Tristan, thank you for all your hard work and diligence. Mary, it's great seeing you. Susie, it's nice to meet you in person. We've talked on the phone. Appreciate it. And congratulations, Cricket, on your grant. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other staff comments? You good? Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. It takes a village to keep our parks going. We appreciate the city and our volunteers and our parks users and our advocates. So we appreciate everybody and thank you so much. We're adjourned.